Tamed is going to be untamed. It's going to be a little crazy. I want to talk to my people. I want to talk to my brothers and sisters. We can have grace and humility in how we interact with other people.
Oh, hot dog, look at you.
And nobody talked about what's really happening.
And let's have conversations about what truth is. Oh boy, what a day. So I'm sorry I'm late. I had to do a pre-record that you guys will hear probably on Friday of a pastor that we're going to have on. So we got some changes that we're going to kind of push out today. So I'm sorry I'm late, but let me just tell you about my day before we get started. So happy Monday. It's good to see you all. So left for the Thanksgiving holiday. This is kind of how the last 24 hours has gone. Got in at like 1 o'clock in the morning. That I had to chase a deer out of the property that got stuck behind a fence. That was fun. And then 5 o'clock in the morning, I wake up. You guys will absolutely know what I'm talking about here. You wake up in the morning, dog's got to go out, open the door, dog's out. By the time you figure out when you open the door that there's a skunk right there, the dogs have already beelined towards it. It's sitting on the wall, tails up, looks like a small dog. And I look up just in time and I scream, "No!" Too late. It had sprayed my dog in its mouth. And my other dog came up and decided that was a good idea. So it got sprayed. So I have two dogs, got sprayed by a skunk. The little one did not get sprayed, but sure wanted to be in the middle of it. I scream no again. They come back down close to me. They thought that they had won the lottery. They did not win the lottery. They won the skunk off. And so out breaks the hydrogen peroxide, the Dawn dish soap, some other soap. We did everything to try and get that kind of squared away. No fun, no bueno. So then I wake up, I'm putting stuff out of the car. I walk in the garage, boom, I fall, bust my knee. Super, super fun. So there you go. That was the extent of my day so far on a Monday. I just wanted to go back to bed, not wake up, and just restart it. Let's restart our Monday. So I'm restarting the Monday with you guys, and I'm going to try and do a few things. I got a really loud back in my ear stuff. So whatever you guys got to do, you got to turn down whatever's happening with Jared in there, please. Okay. So let's talk about today. It's going to be, there's a lot to go over. Tina Peters. It's hard to see all the stuff that we are facing right now. Guys, you guys got to do something about this background noise, because if I can't hear, I know they can't. Tina Peters, we're going to talk about not just Tina, but she is out of solitary confinement at the Vista Prison. I want to just get into that right away. So this is a update from Tina Peters. Let's go ahead and run through this again if we would. Update: Tina has been moved out of solitary confinement. We are grateful to the facility for performing an investigation quickly and moving Tina back to her normal cell quickly. There are still concerns for her safety, but at least she is not in isolation. Please continue to pray for Tina for a ruling from the judge. And if you can support her expenses, please go to tinapeters.us. God bless Tina Peters. Man. So here comes the problem. We have that, and I want to also talk about the fact that Lara Logan did an explosive interview with ex-CIA op Gary Berntsen and drops a bombshell on stolen elections, and backed by Tina's own data that she has in the 4 reports. In those 4 reports, you have obviously the report that was written by Mark Cook and others et al. And if we go back, any of the reports that you've gotten all the way back to 2020, and the one that was done by ASOG with Russ Ramson in Antrim County, all the reports point to fraud inside the Dominion voting machine. So what you're going to get by looking at Lara Logan's interview is more bombshells. Now, I don't, based on what I know, there's this thing that happens when you want somebody to kind of walk off a cliff. I still, understanding all the things that I have and that I wrote about inside of the Substack and what I know about just how they did it, it doesn't jive that there are, that the formulas may be different, but the way that they do it, the math that they use in order to do it is the same. And one of the things that I keep going back to is the fact that they say Joe doesn't have credibility. Joe doesn't have credibility. Joe doesn't have credibility. Well, let me just tell you something. I'm just going to put it out there. I've been sued for the last 5 years. I've given up more than probably any other single person out there in this election fight. I often wonder when we're talking about Eric Coomer and that original call, like, why was he on the call? Why was Eric Coomer on the call? Why would he expose himself that way? And here's what I've come to. Here's the conclusion I've come to. No one in their right mind would write about wanting things to go public if they weren't this narcissistic, just very sick person. And that kind of aligns with the fact that Eric Coomer's a drug addict, that he's this is a guy that wrote about raping his wife. He ran into a building. He can lie with ease. It doesn't bother him to lie. Matter of fact, there's no sort of guilt that he goes through. And when he gets caught, the other interesting part about that is when he gets caught, he laughs about it as if he's proud of the fact that he got caught. And so I believe that when he got on this call originally and bragged about it, that he was he was drunk. He had to be. I mean, just thinking about who would, even if you're bragging to your friends, which he was doing with Antifa, you still would have a little bit of, I mean, if you were smart as he says he is. Then I thought about my friends that I have that are really, really smart. And I think I'm relatively bright, but if I think about my friends that are smart, they don't have a whole lot of common sense and they don't think about their actions before they do it. So, what gets me is that with all the information we have, with the stuff that we have out of the suit that was sealed in Washington, D.C., related to Dominion voting systems, and Patrick Byrne is in that suit as well. I look at it and go, why are these people not in prison? Why are they not in prison? You have whistleblowers, you have all this stuff, and the system is not designed to favor the people. It's always designed to favor the evil. And so we're going to go over a little bit of that. And I did call for justice on X. I named Eric Coomer, and Tina Peters is in jail. And in large part, she's in jail because she stood up to the machine. And we're going to talk about Matt Crane, and who's the county clerk and recorder County Clerks Association in Colorado, and how he's bullied all the county clerks to do exactly what he says. Whose wife worked for Dominion for over 20 years, worked with Eric Coomer, who has stood up and said, hey, I'm a Republican. He's not a Republican. He's just an evil person. He's just an evil, vindictive, just terrible human being. He's also a weakling, and a coward. But those are two other attributes that I think just define most of what the left is. But he also did a radio interview, which we're going to try and play a little bit of as well. But I want to play this. This is Lara Logan interviews former CIA operative Gary Berntsen. And he's explaining how the elections are being stolen in America. I'm going to tell you what my problem is after this, because I have some other stuff I want to go over with you. And we're going to be joined by Jared, who went and visited with Tina this weekend. So we'll work some of this problem together. But I want you to play this, and then I'll tell you what I do and don't like about what was said. Go ahead and play it.
They know where they can find the dead people that they need to get certain votes. They plan this, as Gary said before.
It's meticulous.
It's meticulous. These guys are experts at this. It's not just a few guys in a back room. You're talking about hundreds of statisticians and engineers, and they work it, for a year.
And mathematicians and hackers.
Right.
We had a map out of Colorado when we were talking to our engineers, the guys that designed it, stole the elections. And we looked at it and we said, look, it's Denver here and Colorado Springs, all the Democrats, they said, and they looked at us in pity,
Yeah.
Like, here's something. They said, no, we just go to every one place where Trump wins 70-30 and he's winning 68, or we shave in every other place. We don't go near a Democratic place, because when they want to do recounts, they're going to go to the Democratic places. They don't realize we shaved in every other committee. We know every other county. We know how to do this. And then in each of those things where they shave with a different technique in each one of those. So if you found something in one county, there's no continuity around the state that way.
So this is why the Republicans are so much at fault, because they have the power and the ability to show in their areas they can allow access to the machines, they can allow access to the source code, they can allow the...
But they thought we just won by 35%. Okay, we didn't win by 38.
Yeah.
We won by 35, so no one's going to call to... They should have, right?
Because everyone says, well, we expected the Republicans to win by a majority. Oh, it was a little less than we thought it was going to be, but they still won, so, no harm, no foul. But the evidence of the fraud is right there, and they could show it.
They never looked at it.
Okay. So two things. One, he said that they shaved 2% off and things like that. Okay, it's called a PID controller. You actually have a fixed point outcome of what you want it to become. So there aren't hundreds of statisticians. There are probably hundreds of people that are involved in the fraud. Some of them could be statisticians and some of them could be programmers. And I truly believe that as they built the system, they built it. But simply put, Gary does not understand what he's actually saying. So he understands, he has met with people, he understands the functionality behind Dominion voting systems and others, but he does not understand the system. And that pains me, because when he said the things that he said before as the CIA station chief, which was about a year and a half ago, and he's talking about how they stole, that was closely related to how the elections were stolen. And not just in Dominion, but ES&S, Smartmatic, and down ballot, and being able to, it's not called shaving, okay? Basically, controlling the outcomes. You just inject ballots into it. And I said this before, that if, let's say it's 70-30, and the simplest way to put it is this: if you have 70 ballots on one side and 30 ballots on the other, that's 70-30, right? So the Democrat is losing 30%, and Trump has 70%. Now, here's what I'm going to do for you. I'm going to take 1,000 ballots and I'm going to add it to Trump's deal. So now you have 1,070, and I take 1,000 ballots and add it to Biden's deal, and now you have 1,030. Is it still 70-30? The answer is no. Now, what you have is 50.25, and you have 49.75. So I was able to fundamentally change the outcome by injecting ballots. Now you can look at those being fake ballots. You can do what's called, phantom ballots. You can create a ballot out of thin air. And I don't want to get into this because I've gone into this over and over and over again. Everyone knows, like they look at it and they go, okay, Joe, you understand it. But also they said that I don't have any credibility because somewhere along the line, I don't even know. How I don't even believe we'd be this far with Dominion had it not been for me. But I digress. Well, let's go ahead and bring Jared in, and we'll talk a little bit more about this. There's so much that I want to say about elections, and I know that I could lose most of you by doing it, but hit the share button where you are, and I want to walk through some more of this stuff with Jared. So Jared, welcome to the show.
It's always nice to be on with you. It's pretty rare. We're usually pretty busy, but it is definitely great to be here.
So let's start with this. I do want to talk to you about the systems, and but I want to talk about Tina Peters. You went and saw her this weekend.
I did. I actually got an opportunity to go see her Friday evening, and then I got 3 opportunities to see her on Saturday. So it was a nice time, but it was heart-wrenching in the sense that she's definitely under the weather. Really pretty bad, persistent cough. This was the first time my wife got to go with me. So my wife hasn't seen Tina in over a year. My wife was in tears Friday night because of the frailty that is, frailty to Tina, just, skinny. Her arms are frail. She's lost a lot of muscle mass. A lot of it has to do with like the nutrition she's getting in there. And then to add to that, the persistent cough, dry, non-progressive cough that she's having. It was hard. It was hard. This was probably the hardest trip I've had to visit her. I've probably seen her over 20 times since she's been in prison. And this was definitely the hardest time I think I had to deal with seeing Tina, or got to deal with, and it's wonderful to see her. She still has her feisty spirit. She was able to get out of the isolation while we were there, which was nice, and that perked her up a little bit. But she's definitely needs our prayers.
I got a phone call, and I sent to you right away, and they said, "Hey Joe, someone's coming in to get her out." And it was a weird call that I got late at night, and like, Joe, it's happening. And so I freaked out, called you and said, hey, do you know what's going on? Because I knew you were there. And it turned out to be somewhat of a false alarm. I think they were wondering if I was going to just put it out there that, oh, they're going, the cavalry's coming. I've learned a long time ago never to let loose lips sink ships. Yep. And have those conversations, but it's disturbing, right? Would you call it disturbing? That's a good way to put it.
Yeah, I made phone calls. I had people surrounding the prison in about 15 minutes to make sure that if there was anything happening. Didn't turn out this time to be accurate, but it's not to say something isn't happening. I'm getting the same types of vibes, Joe, that you are from our insider sources. And a lot of these people are just people that are kind of working the problem. And like you, Joe, I don't think there's a soul that has been not working the problem as much as you. But, there's a lot of people that are fighting right now for her, and people sometimes jump the gun.
Yeah, I think that jumping the gun's a good way to put it. Look, you're a systems guy, right?
Yep.
And I'm more of an architect. You're a systems guy. But you just heard the thing with Gary Berntsen. And the dangers that I feel is that he explains it in such a way that it's like soup salad. It's easy to throw out.
I think this is the problem with this whole thing. It's been so frustrating for me because, I've known you for a while. I've appreciated being able to have conversations with you about the technical details of what's going on. I think we understand this. We're friends with Mark Cook. We talk with Mark Cook about this. It's to some degree complicated enough to where when you try to explain it to the layman, it right over their head. So I think that there is, to some degree, we need to dumb this thing down. I think that's just great stuff that like David did with selection code. Kind of dumbed it down to the simplistic nature of things. But I think that's lessons we need to learn, is we need to simplify the messaging and almost have two tracks, right? The complex track for the technical people and then a simplified version of it. So if they want to go research and study, the materials are there for them to. And now they have a lot of this. But that's something I'd like to see done, is a simpler way to kind of explain how the cheat works. And I think this is one of the reasons why it's been so delayed, is because the cheat is so complicated.
But it's not. It is complicated. I agree with you. It's complicated.
It's complicated to the layman. And when I say layman, I mean just somebody who's not a tech geek.
Yeah. So I had lunch with a guy that is super left, right? And he sent me a text telling me that he could basically kick my ass. I met with him and I thought it was funny because it turns out he couldn't have probably have hurt me at all. I mean, I guess he could Charlie Kirk me, even a weakling could do that, I guess. But so we sat down, and I showed him some things. Jared, at the very end, he had this worried look on his face, like, okay, you guys have all figured it out. And that's when I knew that even the guys that are saying that there's no proof, they already know that there's proof. But it's fitting their need right now. Right? It's fitting them. So, we're inundated with things that I think are problematic, like PCAPs. You believe that PCAPs, this big Martian, like shot down and changed shit and used?
I am not a big believer in this whole PCAP.
You mean it's bullshit?
Disaster says the reality is just to have the amount of PCAPs, you have to have actually captured that much data anyway. You know how much data flows through the internet? It would take a data center full of hard drives just to capture that. That's why the NSA and the people that are capturing PCAPs have data centers the size of 9 football fields with hard drive after hard drive after hard drive. Packet captures. That's what PCAP stand for those people that don't know. It's packet captures. You're literally capturing the traffic that goes from A to B, encrypted or not, whatever it is, you're capturing it. And
but it's encrypted.
It's encrypted. It's compressed, depending upon how. But the reality of it is it is an absolute shit ton of data. That we're talking petabytes, if not exabytes of data that go through the internet daily.
So there's a little bit of truth in everything someone says. They try to use intelligent terms inside of tech that make themselves look as if what they're saying is credible. And I think that's our biggest problem, is that we've allowed for these narratives to get creeped into what's the reality. You got these 4 reports that we know are good out of Mesa County. We have the report that came out of New Mexico with David and Aaron Clements. They did a canvas, nothing matched. You have now what's happening in Colorado in 2025, the municipal elections that just happened, and now the canvassers saying, I'm not signing off on this. They're being forced to actually sign off on it, and we're told to be quiet about what's happening in El Paso County. And so then we have Nevada, and we have the stuff that's happening out in Nevada. We have the stuff that happens in Arizona.
We have the Arapahoe County cast vote stuff with Ed as well, and the stuff he just did in Mesa. A lot of people don't realize that he had the cast vote records from Mesa as well, and they were more messed up than Arapahoe.
But they say that these are errors. And then we had the whistleblower that had an interview with John Case. I don't agree with the questions that John Case asked. I would have asked different questions, but it shows you that someone's a lawyer that is a layman, is asking the wrong questions to the right problem, right?
Well, I mean, it would have been nice. I mean, I appreciate John, but I wish he would have included people like you, Mark Cook, a handful of other people, Colorado focused or Tina heavily focused, and gotten a list of, give me 5 questions you would ask. He didn't have to reveal it, but that way he could filter through that and give those out. I think that there was a lot of things a missed opportunity there, but it was still a fantastic interview.
No, I absolutely agree with you. And it tells us a lot. And then we have people like Patrick Byrne, who is trying to signal to us that, hey, listen, we already know where all the bodies are buried. Jared, why is Tina still in jail then? Like, why is it that they don't walk in there, rip her out of there, and tell the Bureau of Prisons, sit your ass down?
Unfortunately, I think it's 2 things. And both of these are kind of hard to say and probably will get me in trouble. The first thing is they want somebody, good players on the good side, or bad players on the good side, or operators, if you will. I think that sometimes they use a problem to create excitement. And I think having Tina there creates never let a problem go to waste, if you will, right? And right now, when Tina got put in solitary confinement, for instance, I think she was trending for at least 12 to 24 hours. I think she was somewhere in the realm of just her tweet alone was like almost 3.2 million. Conrad Reynolds was another 4 or 5 million. So you're talking 10 million eyes and another 50 or 60,000 posts around Tina. That's, focal points on election integrity. As much as I don't want to call out the election integrity, people, but I kind of feel that there's usefulness in that. The other reasons is that it comes down to Trump's doing everything he can, but I think there's a lot of players that this is just lawfare. This is absolute straight up lawfare, and they've got everybody fighting, and it includes on the good sides. I mean, how many times, Joe, have we dealt with she'll be out within a week or 2?
A lot. Yeah, a lot.
And it always gets blocked somewhere, right? Somebody within that chain of command, blocks it, and then, people freak out again. The reality of it is that there is a 70-year-old Gold Star mom who's absolutely was doing everything in her power to support her constituents, is still in prison. And she's not doing well in prison. She's not meant for prison life. Now, she's adapted to a few things. I mean, I've got a whole bunch of fun stories that we will have to write a book about some of the silly things that has happened in prison with her. And she has some fans now in prison. There was, when we got to go to what's called a family reunification visit. So it's only every 2 months. You have to race. She has to really run across the yard to prison to get to the common gym area to sign up in a pod. And a pod's like 100 some odd people. Only 20 can get signed up for this family reunification visit. So I've been to it. I think this was my 3rd or 4th time. And it's kind of cool because you get to go in the prison. I mean, it's prison, right? You got to go in the prison. By the way, Tina hates being called that she's in jail. super trigger word. She's like, I'm not in jail. Prison is different than jail. So she's in full-blown prison, medium security prison. But you get to go in, you get to go to the gym, you get to sit down, you get to walk around, you can hold hands, you can walk circles, you can do all kinds of stuff. A normal visit, you're at a table, she can't get up once she gets to get up to go to the bathroom. So for 2.5, 3 hours, she has to sit there. You can get up, you can go buy her food, which is all junk food, candy and pop and stuff in a vending machine. But it's things she hasn't had in a long time. But she gets to order us pizza in the family reunification visit. So it was really neat to be able to have pizza with her, have silly bread. It's Little Caesars pizza, by the way. And I wonder how much that contract was. But you get to sit down and have that experience with her. But 2 people came up to her, like kind of the beginning and the end, that were that their daughter, wife, sister was in prison, and asked for Tina's autograph. So people in there know, and she has some very big supporters in there that have been very, very polite to her, but she has some people that absolutely hate her, which is how she wound up in isolation. So I don't know if you've covered that full story. I think you read through it, but it was a GED teacher. Not that Tina is taking a GED class. She's not. She has her degree. But it was a GED teacher that was talking a whole bunch of smack about Tina, saying that, she's not going to get out of prison and she's going to die in prison. They actually didn't elaborate enough on how much smack this guy was talking. And Tina politely went up to him and asked him, would you mind not doing this? And then he proceeded to double down and kind of talk smack to her. And a prisoner had recommended that, you should file a grievance. This won't stop unless you file a grievance. So she filed that grievance, and when she filed
they threw
that,
her in the hole.
They filed that grievance, they threw in the hole for her protection, which I kind of can understand to some degree, but it wound up being a huge punishment for her. She couldn't talk to anybody. Her tablet didn't work. Her TV doesn't work. So she's basically, at that point, 22 hours a day, kind of in lockdown, if you will. Now,
but that's not where it started, though. What they wanted to humiliate her for filing a grievance, and they took her in and they strip searched her as well. So
they didn't just do that. Yeah, they strip searched her. They sent her to mental health. They had the mental health manager come in. They parked her in the common visitor area, left her there for 4 hours, not explaining at all what was happening. What was happening is that the warden was having to come out of his hidey hole and come down to meet with her. And then they yeeted her into the hole, or it goes by different names: the shoe, the hole, isolation. But only one prisoner can be out at a time. So even during that 2 hours when she could come out, and then to go outside, she only gets like a 10 by 10 fenced in area for her to be able to do anything. So it is nice that she's out. I'm glad that they did an investigation. I can't 100% confirm it, but I am pretty sure that GED teacher and actually the teacher that she likes were both put on administrative leave. So we haven't got an official statement. We're trying to get an official statement from the prison on that. But I think they're so paranoid right now that, that prison's just kind of got some issues. There's a report that just came out. I probably should send it to the guys. But the report that just came out is young people held at Pueblo Detention Facility aren't getting enough food. So this was on the 18th. And that is a youth prison, male and female, that is actually attached. And it was really interesting. So I had read this article, and it's talking about how food is being, that there's just not enough food. They're having food problems. Even though they have budget for it, there's still food shortages. And this youth facility, it's male and female, like under 17, 15, whatever, young kids. It's attached to the shoe area, same building. So there's, 50, 80 kids connected to where Tina was staying when she was in isolation. And this is the place that is having lack of food. So park that in your head. And then Tina's proceeding to tell us that, yeah, our portions of our food have been going down in size, and all these things about the food quality going down and all this, that, and the other. And then I connected the dots. I'm like, well, wait a second. There was a facility, Tina, in Pueblo with these young kids that said there was lack of food, and she says that facility is connected right to where I am in the isolation. So it's the same prison, is the point I'm getting at. So the prison that Tina is in has got budget issues around food. So she's not getting the best food. Luckily, she has a lot of people that have supported her, and she's able to order a lot off of canteen or commissary. So she has canteen commissary food, but they only get one delivery a month. And then the last month, they were inventorying items, and so they didn't get any for the last month. You know, little things like, let's say you spend $100 on commissary. If you spend $100 on commissary and you ordered, 20 peanut packages or whatever, and there's like, your peanuts don't show up, what would you think, how would that be remedied? You go to the person who handed it to you and you'd say, hey, don't charge me for this, and credit my account back, whatever. That's not the process. If your order is screwed up, and by the way, everybody's orders are always screwed up, according to Tina.
Yeah.
If they're screwed up, you have one of two choices. You give the entire order back and you wait till next month to order your canteen. And then it takes between 30 and 60 days to credit your account with the balance.
Right.
Or you take it and just deal with it.
Well,
That's it.
But if you argue it, it becomes a problem. I have some breaking news for everyone. Breaking news. Breaking news just sent to me about probably 100 times. My phone is literally blowing up right now.
Is that why mine's vibrating too?
You ready for this?
I am ready.
Bring it up, guys. Bring it up. Federal judge dismisses indictments against Letitia James and James Comey, saying that Lindsay Halligan appointment was unlawful. So let me just tell you what this. A federal judge dismissed the indictments against former FBI Director James Comey and New York Attorney General Letitia James on Monday. The judge found that President Donald Trump's appointment of interim U.S. Attorney Lindsay Halligan in Alexandria, Virginia was invalid. Trump handpicked Halligan for the role amid increased pressure to bring criminal cases against political enemies, including Comey and James. The Attorney General's attempt to install Ms. Halligan as interim U.S. Attorney for the Eastern District of Virginia was invalid. Judge Cameron McGowan Curry wrote in her Monday order. According to Curry, all actions flowing from Ms. Halligan's defective appointment, including the indictments against Comey and James, were unlawful exercise of executive power and are hereby set aside. The judge tossed out the cases without prejudice, leaving open the possibility that the cases against Comey and James can be brought again, alleging the same conduct. But McGowan Curry appeared to acknowledge in her ruling that Comey such a move may not be possible since the statute of limitations for the charges has now passed. James issued a statement about the charges against her were dropped. I'm heartfelt by today's victory and grateful for the prayers and support I've received. All right, take it down. All right, let me just tell you something. I'm so angry right now I can't even see straight. You want to know why? Because I expected this to happen. They could throw a Gold Star mom in jail for 9 years while letting fentanyl distributors out on probation in the same area with the same judges. They can let pedophiles and people that hurt children. This happened, by the way, with James or Barrett, Judge Barrett. Judge Barrett let a pedophile out on the street on probation, no jail time, but put Tina Peters behind jail. This is the type of stuff that we have to deal with. By this time, there was over 800 Americans that were sitting in gulags that were charged with a 1512 charge, in essence of interfering with a official proceeding. Over 800. Without bail, forced into a position where they had to take plea agreements, disrupting their lives, destroying their lives. Men and women committed suicide. We had a man that was literally raped in a prison by a foreigner who was a guard. And Letitia James and James Comey is all we have to show for it. That's it. That's what we have to show for it. We have two people to show for it, and a judge that just walks around and says, you know what? I'm going to do the biddings of this evil group of people, this seditious coup that is happening in our country, and I'm going to dismiss these cases because he found that the cases were, or the appointment was invalid. I want you to think about that. Now we have to say to ourselves, did he do it on purpose? Did we actually try these people? This was just kabuki theater? I can't. This is, all right, bring up my post 6. Bring up post 6 for a second. Jared, I got to have you see this. So put him back on with me. I said, good evening. This is what I put out yesterday. You say, Joe, you're calling for violence. No, I'm telling you that the violence, that you can't tell me it's not the answer. Let me tell you what I wrote. And you just tell me. By the way, they throttled it everywhere. Good morning. I was pondering these realities. Am I wrong? Do not tell me violence is not the answer. I've seen what the process has let happen. They murdered Charlie. They have jailed Tina Peters, jailed J6ers, injected poison into the veins of our brothers, sisters, mothers, and fathers, murdering them. They have canceled us, bullied, sued, and stolen from us. They have put thugs on the street, opened the border to drugs and trafficking. They have allowed our children to be groomed and captured our most sacred institutions while telling us they are not doing anything wrong. They stole our voice, used the media to drown out the truth, and destroyed the lives of countless Americans. Do not tell me we should remain peaceful. Do not tell me they should trust the political leaders, police, and rotted judiciary. I'm not calling for violence, yet I recognize that violence is the only thing that will destroy this evil and level set where we are. I want consequences and I want accountability. You tell me that is what we are getting now? Show me how our children are safer when career criminals arrested dozens of times are stabbing, lighting on fire, and brutalizing our people. No, they do it on purpose because chaos favors the evil, which has consumed our communities. Sometimes you get to the place where you ask God what the answer is, and the only response in your mind you get back is to destroy evil. I hear that God will deliver, but as I read the Bible, it is clear. He used the people to destroy evil. Daniel, Job, David, Moses. So I will say it again. What are we allowing them to take from us? Why are we allowing them to take from us what was never theirs to take? Jared?
Joe, I read that post yesterday and got goosebumps. I'm pretty sure I retweeted it as well. We need people like you. I have seen you frustrated at times to the point of, why do I do this podcast? And I can't tell you. I think you've heard me tell you, I'm like, you can't quit, Joe. We need you. And I think, and I hope you know how much I appreciate your voice.
But I have no credibility, Jared. I have no credibility. I don't know anything about anything. I built my companies by accident, I guess. I'm just a village idiot that has no credibility. None. Zero. I can be sanctioned. They can take $140,000 from me. They can write 7,000 articles about me. They can sit and say whatever they want, whenever they want. They literally can act with impunity, and I have to sit down and take it. And it's not the left that does it. It's both sides.
That's been one of the most frustrating things, I think, for me is the infighting and the both sides.
Is it really infighting?
I don't know if it's infighting. I think it's just all good versus evil.
I find it disgusting that we're even having this conversation. And now Letitia James gets to walk free as if nothing happened. There's no accountability for the bad people. Just sits in jail. She sits in jail, Jared. A Gold Star mom who lost her son, who served this country honorably. And it reminds me of the book that I just read by Fred Galvin, who was with the MARSOC group that had the MARSOC 7, where bad men just went out and tried to brutalize these guys that did nothing wrong. The enemy from within. How do we get Tina out? Let's hypothetically just work the problem for a minute. Do we get 20,000 people? Do we surround the house of Jared Polis? Do we literally shake down the walls around him?
I think we have to get loud. I think at this point, everything that I'm hearing from everybody who I consider can make a difference, including yourself, is we have to get louder. We have to send things to Judge Barrett. We have to send things to...
Is anything off the table at this point?
The only thing I would be cautious about off the table is messing with Vahalik too much, because Vahalik, I think he is in a very tough position with the decision he has to make around...
No, he's not. No, he's not. He just has no courage. He has no courage, and he's looking at a political... He's doing the same thing that pastors do when they say you can't talk about politics and all we're talking about is morals and ethics.
I think you're right. I think he's trying to figure out, how do I delicately rule without throwing another judge under the belt. I mean, it's really about those guys protecting their own to some degree. But he needs to rule, because I think that's her quickest path to out, is Valhalla ruling and granting what should have been granted the day she was sentenced, which was her bond. And then she's out to continue to fight, her appeal. A lot of people don't realize her appeal is still going to go on for a year or two or more.
Yeah.
Even if she gets, her sentence communed from Polis, if he gains an ounce of, grace, she still will have to go through her appeal.
I think all these people should be tried for treason and hung. I think Jared Polis should be hung. I think Jenna Griswold should be hung. I think Phil Weiser should be hung. I think they should hang by their neck until dead. I think they've committed treason and that this is seditious behavior against the United States, and they have literally held hostage all the people in the state of Colorado. And I think the judges, like Judge Marie Moses, I think the judges on this case that basically, oh, by the way, they added the $1,000 a day deal, give up the kid or we're coming at $1,000 a day. So as of last week, I'm now.
They put that shit back on you?
Back on, yeah, at a different level. Yeah, so the whole system is stacked by a rent judge, by the way, a rent judge, someone from the JAG office, or I think they call it JAG office.
JAG, like military JAG?
No. It's a judge advocate group.
Oh, geez.
Judge advocacy group. Yeah. So they and then it didn't want to listen to me. But they listened to the lies of Eric Coomer and his piece of shit demonic lawyers. The whole thing is about how do we punish people for standing up for truth. That's the whole thing about. But they've captured the judiciary. I mean, that's how Comey and Letitia James got off. It's captured judiciary. Captured.
It's beyond that, Joe. It's beyond that. So I've been doing a bunch of research and helping do some kind of deeper archives with things with Tina. Yeah. And I've been working with Apollo, and luckily I work for you and an amazing have evening freedom time, or take a Friday and go out there to film things. One of the things I have found, is I've known Tina for a long time. I was her security, I was her cybersecurity guy. I was there to help her out, and I've been around, and I have seen the true Tina. A lot of times people don't, they're not the same when you meet them in person. They've got that persona on interviews, persona on a podcast. You meet them in person, then they're a dick, or they're a bitch, or they're whatever. Tina is the most down-to-earth, real person I've ever really met in my life. And I know, Joe, you know this side of her too. Yep. She is as real as it gets, But finding out things that I've found out over the last probably 2 months blows my mind even more. When Tina says that, you may have heard this DMV thing about, Tina just wanted to fix the DMV. It's real. That's what she wanted to do. She was so frustrated at trying to get cars registered, and it was taking forever, and she has to go sit down at the DMV for 4 or 5 hours. She just wanted to make a difference. So she saw the county clerk as a way that she could do that, and she saw it was an uncontested race. So, hey, that'll be an easy win. I can go in and I can help take care of this and be good to go. You had Sheila Reiner, Bobby Gross. Sheila Reiner termed out, and so that was why it was uncontested at the time. Tina put her name in, Bobby Gross put her name in, but Bobby Gross was Sheila Reiner's 15-year-old BFF. Both, by the way, worked for Dominion. Come to find out.
And by the way, Matt Crane said his wife okay for people to have other jobs.
He did.
His wife worked for Dominion.
How do you expect them to make money on the side? Is what I think he said exactly.
How do you expect them to make money on
How's that not a conflict of interest that they worked for that? But
how about the fact that nobody's investigating it? Not even the DOJ.
So, from my understanding, we're getting the info to the DOJ. So it's been getting to the right people, because this is all coming out via Coras. It's
I already did this. I already gave it to the DOJ. I gave it to the DOJ.
Hopefully they're
300 gigabytes of information. I went through every bit of it. I cataloged it, literally send it over. I'm like, listen, here's 5 crimes that were committed by this investigator. This is collusion between the AG's office and the DA's office. This is them not actually doing an adequate investigation. This by itself should actually have Dan Rubenstein disbarred and kicked out of office. Pretty simple.
Well, we talk about the judiciary being corrupted, infiltrated, yada, yada, yada. The point I'm getting at here is Mesa County was the exact same thing. It was a good old boys network or girls network of people that had been working together forever. When Tina came in as an outsider to their organization, just like Trump came in as an outsider, Tina got railroaded. They let landmines like go off. A lot of people don't realize that, like, there's an example that, and I think Apollo is going to cover this in more detail, but there's an example of an employee that Tina hired. And the day she hired, do you remember that Charles Ashby? He's that shithead reporter.
Yeah.
That was writing all those horrible articles about Tina. He took her out to lunch. He's also the same reporter during the trial that chased after the, and I was there, he chased after the jurors and went down the jury hallway and got like reprimanded, but nothing actually happened. But this reporter was calling Tina's employees the day they were starting. And then there's email correspondence where he's sending them negative articles and letting them know, hey, just to get you kind of level set, this is what you're dealing with here. They knew landmines that Tina would step on, and they would let her step on them, and they would be sending emails to Charles Ashby, so he was ready to report on her. She walked into the hornet's nest of all hornet's nests. This was before the backup image. Tina was dealing with nonstop nightmare in her role and her position from day one. It was an absolute nightmare. Nobody was opening up to teach her, to help her. They were strategically quitting on her so she didn't have employees. They were doing everything in their power to get her thrown out of office, including recall her. The person that recalled her, by the way, was like, oh my goodness, you're being recalled. Well, come to find out, that's the person who filed the domain. By the way, the internet doesn't forget, Joe, as you know. And so we have the Wayback Machine where we can see purchase the domain history of the chick that was saying this. Liars. It's unbelievable what these people were doing.
Jared,
she had it rough from the get-go, and she stayed strong, and she really was about her constituents. She wasn't about the system.
I want to. Do you remember the diagram that I built?
Mm-hmm.
You remember what I said in that diagram? I don't know if they can find it or not. Let's see if they can find it real quick.
I know I stored it in like 20 places on that machine.
All right, so it's the voting diagram. If you guys can find it, but before you do that, let's put up this article that I just put in there. Jared, do you remember? I mean, I wish Apollo were on here because he'd be able to. He was actually there with me in January of 2021. Excuse me. But we built this model in late November of 2020, and said, okay, if they're going to say that I'm lying, then let's get to the bottom of it. Or I'm sorry, early December. I think it was December 12th is when I actually dove into it and said, okay, this little prick saying that I made this up and it's not his post, and he just lied, right? He just lied, created a lie, and the media basically spread it out everywhere. Okay, if he's going to do that to me, then I'm going to find out if the machines can be stolen. Right?
Yeah.
It was the first time ever. I want to say, I'm going to say this right now, and I'm going to tell you right now, go back and check every Wayback Machine. Go check anything you want. No one was talking about the structure of Dominion voting systems in December of 2020.
No, nobody was. I mean, you were the only one that, even the reports didn't go into the level of how kind of components talk to each other. People don't realize that the voting, Dominion and all these machines, it's not just a box, right? It's,
I was
back
the
end.
first.
It's a back end infrastructure. There's a place where it's multiple layers, and then those tabulate and roll up to a central repository. There's a lot to these voting machines. That's the other thing, is all these people, like that bullshit call this morning with Matt Crane. He's like, well, there's a paper ballot there's a paper and there's a digital. You could just compare the two, and if the two are compared, it's fine. It's like,
he's lying.
Yeah, but if I vote on the machine, it spits out something paper when they tell it to, and that could be fraudulent there. Or there can be other ballots that are injected into it. There's so many other ways that things can be manipulated that he just skirts right on over. He's a liar.
Put this article up. Put it up. Put the article up. Okay. This is just so you know what you're looking at. This is the article directly related to in New Mexico. Valencia County finds voting machine error with non-existent ballots. Did you guys find the deal with the diagram or no? All right, I'll find it for you. But in the meantime, let me just tell you what this is. Okay, this says
is exactly what you were describing and have been describing since the get-go. Exactly.
Since the beginning, right?
This is since the beginning. This is a telltale sign of.
Bro, I wrote the white paper. I wrote the white paper in January of 2025, and I was like, "Listen, here are the ways you have to get rid of the machines in the mail-in ballots. This is why you have to do it.
You have to take it down."
Bluff. I wrote but this in particular. Let me see if I can do this. Oh shoot! Hold on a second. Let me read you this real quick. But if you read this, let's see. I'm going to find that thing for you. And I didn't want to do this, Jared, but let's be honest. They've slandered me up one side, down the other, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because I was first. I was first, and I understood it better than anyone else did.
Well, it was dangerous to them. They had to, because it would unravel it. I mean, Joe, that was one of the reasons from the get-go. 2 reasons was that you were the one that was talking about something I understood, being a tech guy, and the fact that you have always been so loyal and so there for Tina Peters. That was like my first introduction to you, where I was like, this man is somebody I want to be around, I want to work with. It was for those 2 things. You talked my language around being able to explain how the cheat could occur, and how much you respected and how much you were always there for Tina. Those were the 2 first real things I knew about you.
Well, remember, the thing about Tina is I told her not to get on that stage at the symposium.
I know.
And Sharona Bishop told her to get on the stage. Mike Wendell said, get on the stage. I mean, they used Tina Peters. They raised money on Tina Peters.
You told her not to, and Juan told her not to.
And she did. And then, you know who nobody talks about? Conan Hayes.
I know.
Who was the one that went and did the image?
Conan.
So
did he do any more than that? Interesting.
Oh, yeah, he did a lot. He said he's the one that validated the PCAPs.
What PCAPs?
They never existed. Dennis Montgomery.
You know, hey, I've been digging into that too, Joe. Really interesting conversation. No offense to Mike. Sorry, Mike. I do love everything you've done, but I'm going to have to bring this out. What the hell, man? I missed this. There was a trial somewhere, but I saw the affidavits between Mary Fanny and Mike. Have you seen those text messages? In those text messages, Mary's telling Mike, hey, I'm going to try to find Dennis Montgomery. And Mike's like, you don't understand what position you're putting me. I have nothing. I need that data. I paid Mike, and Gray, whatever it was, his trust for Dennis's house that Mike bought him. It's all public. Anybody can go find it. But they're telling him, Mike knew that there was no PCAPs.
He knew.
And
he lied.
I mean, I'd love to hear his version of it, but at least in that filing, and it is a legal document, so they manipulate things, so I'll give him the benefit of the doubt. But at least in that filing and in those text messages, it tells a different story than what people typically hear. And then they also locked Conan apparently in like a room, because Conan was trying to explain how to view these PCAPs, which he got from Dennis Montgomery. But that whole story is...
Look, let me just tell you something. I was at the symposium. I walked upstairs, and Phil Waldron was in the room sitting on the side, and Conan was sitting right there. I walked past everyone. They're like, you can't go in there. I was like, get out of my way. Conan in there? You know, Jared, this is how I operate, right?
That's 100% how you operate.
And they're like, yeah, he's in there. You can't go in there. I was like, get out of my way, or I will remove you. There's a little security guy. I'm like, I'm telling you right now, get out of my way. I walked in the room, sat down next to Conan. I said, Conan, show me the PCAPs. He's on his Apple computer, and he's going through and opening files and opening files and opening files. And I'm thinking to myself, if the thing we were talking about downstairs was PCAPs, you'd have already had it done. And I did what I normally do, Jared. I have to solve a problem. Now we got a big problem. We got a symposium with a bunch of bullshit. You're telling people to go look at PCAPs that don't exist, and you brought all these people out here, and you did this dog and pony show. And I keep thinking, and they brought up Dennis Montgomery. They said Dennis Montgomery was in the hospital.
Had a stroke, and then you got people to call. And
No. I didn't get people to call. I got people to go.
You had people go?
Go to his house and then follow him all the way to the grocery store, and then took a picture of him and sent it to me. I was like, is that Dennis Montgomery? They're like, yeah. I was like, well, that guy just went into the Winnie Dixie. He's not in the hospital. There's nothing wrong with him.
I know they were reporting that he had a stroke or something, and that was,
He didn't have a stroke.
why the data was there.
It was a lie.
But in the end, who gets caught up in it and winds up now in a very interesting position?
In jail.
In prison.
In jail. In prison. Look who's in prison right now. Look who isn't. The guy whose dad was CIA, who is CIA, who was an informant for CIA, Conan Hayes, he's out running around. And by the way, nobody wants to hold anybody accountable. Nobody wants to say Sharona Bishop is a grifting op. No, it's just America's mom. That was the person that came to Tina and said, I got this plan. And the $20,000 check to pay for Conan Hayes to come in. That was actually written by Mike Lindell. They've got all the data, got all the information. You can clean out the op, but brother, it is an op of magnificent proportion.
And I don't know who, I'm 100%, by the way. I've had this conversation many a nights with Apollo and Tina. It was an op. 100%. It was an op. But who ran it? That's the piece. I know. That's the piece that I have suspicion, but I don't want to call the wrong people out because, I'm not 100% sure. But to me, it seems like there was a lot of people involved in this. And
there's a lot of people involved.
And Tina just wound up kind of being a sacrificial lamb.
No, it was planned. They had to have one. They had to have somebody that would prevent everyone else from actually speaking or standing. Even if the conscience was eluding people, they just would not, because they were all selfish. It was all about themselves. And this is largely what our problem is that we have stolen elections that leave selected people, and then they basically just go through and use a machine of the judiciary and the lawfare.
Well, if anybody who doesn't deserve it, that really truthfully, I have spent a lot of time with Tina, that truthfully does not deserve where she's at right now, it's Tina. She loved her people. She loved her constituents. She loved to talk. She opened her door to anybody that wanted to come in and ask about the problems. And by the way, Tina was a person that 100% believed that it was the gold standard election. She did not believe there was any problems with the machines. But she went and did her research and had some concerns. These were all like pretty innocent concerns, but they turned into major concerns when they were going to delete, it all started with they're going to delete the QR code. And why is that a big deal? It's a big deal because if this is your ballot, right, there was a QR code up here in the upper right-hand portion of the ballot of how that they were being fed into the system. And so she's like, well, if they're going to delete this program that was an unauthorized program anyway from the build, well, how am I supposed to deal with my paper again? That doesn't make any, I have to do something. I can't just have them remove it because then I couldn't recreate things. That was like the innocentness of what she cared about. Then it compounded as she learned more. But that's how it started in her eyes, that I need to get a backup because how am I going to deal with the QR codes that are on the paper? They wouldn't be able to read them.
All right, so let me show you. Put that paper back up for one more time because we didn't get to go all the way through it. I want you guys to understand. It says, Deputy Clerk Brenda Hume said the issue was due to their machines from Liberty Voting Systems, formerly Dominion Voting, which can count ballots. County has 2 of these machines, but only one was used on election night. After the votes were sent in, they realized the unused machine was tallying up extra votes. On 12 races, there were different in the vote count versus what it is today. What it is today is correct. It's now correct on the Secretary of State's website as well. Liberty Voting System said it can't give Valencia County an answer as to why the issue happened.
Sounds like to me that they made a last minute choice to only use one of the two machines. The other machine happened to probably still be online in like a server room or a sealed room, and might have been phoning home, and they went and messed with ballots, messed with stuff, and messed with the wrong machine that didn't have anything in it.
261 ballots, 204, extra ballots were tallied during the election.
It sounds like it was from the offline or supposedly not used machine.
So then how many ballots were in the first machine were actually done as well? Was it 500 ballots? Is a relatively small area. So is it 500 ballots that they added to it? Is it 400? Is it 800? Is it 1,000? I don't know, because guess what? They also won't do an audit. But let me put up this model real quick. Do you remember this model? This was my model.
I do. I've stared at this thing for hours.
So when you look at this, remember, we didn't have any of the information that we have today. We didn't have any of it. And this is one of the reasons why when I went to Washington, D.C., it was a real problem. If you're on your phones looking at this, you're not going to be able to really understand it. So I'm going to start right here at the absentee ballots, because I said that the mail-in ballots are basically the gas to the machine, right? They scan the envelopes for barcodes. You can do an inspection. I call it adjudication 1. They're like, you don't know what you're talking about. It's not an adjudication. It's signature verification. Okay, that's called adjudication. So you're adjudicating that it's real, right? Mm-hmm. So from there, you can say compare it to records, which means it has to be voter registration, some sort of way that they can compare those to records. And if it's rejected, it goes to right to cures. Cured goes back to an inspection of the signature. Now, once it's verified, you go to that little arrow right there, or little check mark. You then, about 14 days before the election, 15 days, you separate the ballots from the envelopes. Now, remember, we've never been able to get to the bottom of envelopes because they've never made them available. This is some of the things you had with like creases of paper in Maricopa County. None of this information, Jared, did we have access to any of this in 2020?
No.
So how the fuck would I know how to do this? Am I just clarifying?
I know what you did. You read system manuals.
And it was boring. And by the way, let me just put something else out there. Jared, did we have AI in 2020?
No. Nothing that nothing that could, nothing like we have now. The stuff now is ridiculous. We had nothing like that.
So if you want to go back to 2020, we had none of that. And I did what's called it's a flattening of the processes, and you squeeze them together. So you take the manuals in Pennsylvania, take the manuals in Arizona, you take the manuals in different states, you compress them, right? Also RFPs, RFQs, things like that. Stuff that gives me information, right? So I read it all. I've created this board. This board had all this information on it, and I was like, I know how they stole the election. But from there, it goes to fake ballots and phantom ballots and ballots. So you have the actual ballots that come in, then you have the fake ballots. You have ballots that don't have envelopes. You have ballots that, that were, delivered in the dead of night, right? You had all this stuff that these other ballots. That's why you had massive amounts of dead people that voted in these elections, is because they needed to have enough space where they could manipulate the vote. Now, you only need space to manipulate the vote if you do an audit. Otherwise, it's just a bunch of paper, right?
Yep.
See that thing with phantom ballots?
Yes.
The ADA, the American Disabilities Act, says that you have to be able to create a ballot out of thin air that makes it look like it was filled in with the human hand. So as a result of that, they have the ability to create phantom ballots inside the system. You can pre-program them. You can add them up. They sit inside of an adjudication process, which goes into tabulation, and it sits in what's called a suspended state.
Yep.
That suspended state, it stays there. Remember the error rate? It's really high.
Well, they were batching out entire 100, 1,000 ballots at a time that there's no way a human could have looked at them and saying, all Biden, all at once. They're just doing these global batches.
So when it's a good count, it goes to the tabulation transfer. When it's a bad or a questionable one, it goes to adjudication 2, which determines the intent. Now, from there, I said, okay, you have to have the ability. Remember when the systems went down and came back up?
Yep.
They've clarified this now. They don't have to do this anymore, but they did then because they haven't perfected it because no one was really looking underneath the hood. When you go down, you come up. Now, once you have all the ballots in, what do you know about? You know who voted, right?
Yeah.
What else do you know?
Potentially how many people voted,
Once you know who voted, what else do you know?
who they voted for.
Who didn't vote?
Oh, that's right.
So you'd have to have some way to create a process
You know what
to
registered
attach.
voters? Yeah.
Right. So you just have to go and grab a bunch of names, bring them back down, stuff them into it because you know who voted. And now those phantom ballots, those fake ballots get attached to a name. They're like, "Yep, this is the name," and they basically backfill that data in to make sure that no matter what, you're covered. Right.
Yeah.
And then you have the 6 points of which to do it. You have the internet connection, which they said didn't exist. In December of 2020, did they say that there was an internet connection?
They said absolutely not. They denied. Denied.
What did I say here? What did I say here?
You said they're absolute. Look at the top.
But nobody
Number
read the
one.
manuals. I was the first one to
Or
read
number
the manuals.
6. Yeah, there was absolutely. And there was video, of them acknowledging that there was, and there's video of them acknowledging that there wasn't.
Yeah, but
we
they took
had
most
them
of those
lying back
down.
then.
Yeah, they took most of those videos down. So
They were lying.
as you start looking at this, Jared, from a credibility standpoint, and you're welcome to tell me I don't know fuck all about anything, right? I don't care. You and I have some very, very, honest conversations about a lot of things.
But I would never tell you that, especially with this, because this was one of the very first things that impressed me that somebody could lay it out real quick to where I didn't have to go do the work, right? Once I saw this, I did go do the work. I went and got all the Dominion manuals, which, by the way, our Secretary of State also leaked. But back in that same time frame, all the Dominion deployment manuals, all their original contracts with no redacted names, remember that, Joe? They were all on Secretary of State's website. The passwords being leaked on the website, that wasn't the first time something like was put on the Secretary of State's list. The whole entire RFI, RFP, the contract, every Dominion manual was all publicly available for years on the Secretary of State's website. And that's where a lot of us got them.
So let me ask you a question. This is a big question. Ready? If this is true, what I just showed you is true, and we were able to prove it backwards to all the information related to the Dominion voting system, we're still seeing it happen right now. And Tina Peters had 4 full reports. And you had the Antrim County report, and you had the report out of Nevada, and it's still happening inside the machine today. And now you have John Case that is talking about this. And remember that Ed Solomon, I asked him I said, forget about the presidential election. I need you to go to Arapahoe County. I need you to examine these cast vote records. I need you to do this for me in Arapahoe County only. And he came back and he said, it's all bullshit, Joe. I didn't find anything bad, right? And I was like, okay, well, what process did you follow? And then he called me back a day later and he goes, scratch what I said. I totally screwed up. And he found it. But because I was like, man, it would have to be a county by county. Let's look at the counties that are probably the most dirty. Right?
Yep.
Tina's sitting in jail because of the reports.
Well, he just recently did Tina's, and he said that was worse than Adams or Arapahoe.
Mesa County he did.
Yeah, he did.
Yeah. Yeah. And we still sit here and we got all this information and we got the piece of shit over at the DOJ, Todd Blanchard and everyone else that's too busy investigating Ed Martin that he can't actually get to the job of saving the elections and saving our country. So where are we?
I think, I hate to like talk in Q terms or anything, but I think the military and the military justice system might very well likely be the only way.
50,000 people need to be tried and hung immediately. Just tried, hung, boom.
I love David's video, I don't know, 2 or 3 or 4 ago. And by the way, if you guys have not seen what David Clements has been putting out, like on, I think it's Sunday morning. It's kind of a nice Sunday thing. He's been doing an amazing job, and he put out a remarkable video around what we're talking about right now, around how the military could potentially get involved. And at this point, Joe, I'm ready just to call on Trump to do that. Do
Look,
that.
I think the issue is that I have is that Tina is 70 years old. They're taking what is not theirs to take, and I said it before: is violence the only answer? And I think that we're at the place right now where the only lack of action is actually condoning violence, because that's what they're doing to us. They killed Charlie Kirk.
Joe, I know
came after
you.
Trump's
I know you, and I know your heart, and I know that you've made efforts to try to get down there, and there's been some goofy problems with whatever your visit is. But when you get there, and I hope you don't, because I hope she's out before then. But if you get there to see her, you're gonna bawl your eyes out. It's hard. She's aged. Her skin doesn't look well. Her arms are just skin and bones. Like, this has taken an enormous toll on her. Physically, mentally. Mentally, she told me the same story across 2 days, 4 or 5 times. Like, this has taken an enormous toll on her. But she still will smile. She still will laugh while she's coughing. But what they have taken from her by doing this to her is horrific. But she stays positive, and she talks always about how much she loves the people. She talks about how she still wants to run for office again, how she still wants to help the prisoners. She filed a grievance, and she included in her grievance things that will probably get her hurt. Why? Because she wants change for her sisters in there. I've never met a woman with such a big heart. And it's hard to see what these evil people have done to her. She told me, Joe, how much she appreciates you too.
I love Tina more than anything.
She loves you.
I can't. I know what I will do when I see her in that position, and I'm afraid of myself.
I will tell you, there's some good people in there. I'll tell you guys a story. I've got to be very careful how I tell this story, because I do not want them to figure out who this person is. It was one of my visits. We'll just leave it at that. So I'm not even going to give them the detail to be able to hone it down. But I was walking into the prison. Now, one of the things I've learned to notice is that the guards and the people that come and visit, it's kind of a regular group of people. So I know, but probably I've been there enough now where I know, call it 70% of the people visiting by first name basis, because they're always there. So you kind of just learn who's coming to see their daughter or their wife, and you kind of know who they are. And the guards also know who comes. So, like, if you've never been there before, they know exactly who you are. And they're like, nope, you need to do this, and you need to take that off, and you need to do this. And they start ordering you around because they know you don't know what you're doing. I was coming in from my car, and one of the employees there, I'm not going to say what they were, but one of the employees came up to me. And he says, "Are you here to see Miss Peters?" And I said, "Well, yes, sir, I am." Or, "Yes, ma'am." And they proceeded to tell me, "You need to tell Mr. Trump to get her out. She does not belong in here. Please tell Mr. Trump to get her out. She does not belong in here," with tears in his eyes. So there's good ones there. So we've got to be careful not to burn the whole place to the ground, because there are some people in there that have good, amazing hearts. And there are some people in there that really, really do care for Tina. There's been numerous times where I'm on the phone with her, and there's people in the background. When we made that song for Tina, I played it to her, and I must have put it on speakerphone, and there was people dancing around her singing "Free Tina, Free Tina." So she does have some allies in there, but then there's also people that really do not like her. But there is some good ones, is the point I'm getting at, Joe. There's a lot of people too that just Nuremberg trials kind of people that just follow orders, if that makes sense. They've got a good heart, but they just follow orders and do what they're told.
That's most people. That's most people. That's most people. Most people are held captive by not evil people, apathetic people, people that frankly are jealous of the character and or the things that others have. Yeah. So it makes people want what they have, and they're like, oh no, I'm going to take this. I'm going to be this person. I'm going to take my shot. And I've never been upset at those people, but I've been upset at those people who get in that position and then fail to do what is necessary when it gets tough because they're afraid of what it might result in. And that's a vast majority of the people on our side. Right. I mean, I put Steve Bannon in that deal. I think Steve Bannon is one of those people that, I mean, Tina will reach out to him because he has a large audience. She'll talk about it, but I don't believe that he cares about it. And that's just my thought. So I will leave it at my thought. But it does upset me.
I'm grateful for all the people that come out of the woodwork when things get loud. Yeah. But I will tell,
even if they're a useful idiot. Yes.
Yeah, I'm grateful for it, but it is surprising. You know, when I was first doing like security cyber stuff, helping Tina back her devices up years ago, I was kind of telling her that she had this huge network of people and this, that, and the other. And I was like, when this starts kind of heating up, you know, be ready, especially like from a cybersecurity perspective and like who you're communicating with, to have your circle shrink. You know, you're going to have a very tight group of trusted people that you're going to be associated to. And we were talking just this last visit. She was like, boy, were you right. My circle is so small now. But she has a very small circle of kind of like people she 100% trusts. There's a lot of people that you know, want to write a book now and want to do this and want to do this. There's a lot of people come out of the woodworks, especially when things get hot. When things start going viral, you know, my phone starts blowing up, and Apollo and some of the other people that you know, phones start blowing up, and Tina's phone starts blowing up. And people
they do not like the fact that I tell them to fight harder. They get mad at me. John Case, I screamed at him. And it's not that I don't dislike John Case. But I'm like, look, you guys are you're fighting like cowards. You're not fighting to win. You have to, yeah. And I believe, frankly, that in Tina's case, they should have been willing to go to jail for contempt of court. They should have been willing to go to jail for what Barrett did to her.
Yeah, we need more fire starters, right? And I don't mean literal fires. I mean more people that bring up the point and keep the thing going. There's a lot of people that are willing to continue to throw gasoline on the fire. Right. And there's only a handful of people that are actually willing to go start it. And we need people that start it. You know, Joe, you and your followers, your supporters are always creating the movement, creating the fire. We need more of that. We need a lot more things kind of popping off in a good way to support Tina. We need people, you know, calling Polis with respect and saying, you know, hey, this is what needs to happen. We need to get loud. I mean, that's the general consensus right now is that we need to continue to get loud. You know, I'm partially grateful that she got thrown into the shoe because it caused a viral push for the entire world to, you know, actually like start seeing in what was going on with her. Some of these things, you know, created that. But at the same point, who gets hurt again? You know, poor Tina.
Remember when we sat down and walked through all the data, that 300 gigabytes of information, and I'm like, holy shit, did you see this? And you're like, oh yeah, I've seen that. And the fact that they basically tilted the entire investigation against Tina.
Yep.
Why with that information? And it's a rhetorical question. How does Elon Musk know that they stole the election? President Trump know they stole the election. All these people know they stole the election, and they let these people walk around.
That's something I don't understand. I mean, I know he's got the direct messages. They weren't encrypted back then.
They have Eric Coomer dead to rights. They have him dead to rights. And I don't care about Coomer per se as the person. I just know that there's so many other people that would fall if given all the different Oh, by the way, State Street or Staple Street Capitol.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they're dodging the subpoena for a deposition. In my case, they're dodging it right now. Hiding. Yeah, it's just. At some point, brother, I'm going to tell you right now, there'll be people like me and others like me who just recognize that I'm a caged animal and you've backed me into a corner. Right? But hey, at least we got the NBA players that are betting in illegal games. At least
So
we got
stupid.
that. All right, I'm gonna let you go. I'm gonna run through some other stuff.
All right. Well, I appreciate you, Joe, and I know Tina is unbelievably grateful for everything you've done and been there. You've never left her side, and she knows it. So I'll talk with your assistant and see. Hopefully, we can figure out how to get you in there. I know it's been hard. The approval process is kind of a pain in the ass too. You know this. So
yeah, I got to get there, but I mean, it's the same thing when I start talking about Dave Bear. So you guys better stay on. I'm going to talk to you about Dave as well.
Another amazing individual that doesn't.
Oh my gosh! Man.
When you get back into town, I'll show you a message he sent me. It was a pretty sweet message. Kind of was really, really, really nice. It's like, bro, don't worry about me. Don't worry about anything, but just focus on your health right now. He's still thinking about other people. Unbelievable.
100%. Yeah.
All right, brother. Well, I appreciate you so much. Right. Thanks for everything.
God bless you.
God bless you
too.
Brother.
All right, so we have some other stuff to talk about, but I'm going to do this right now. Do you guys have the Give, Send, Go for Dave Bear? Great. Let me see if I can get it to you real quick. I have spent an enormous amount of time Dave Bear, Dr. Dave Bear. Like Tina, I mean, I'm just going to tell you that I've contributed and taken care of Tina for the better part of the last 4.5 years financially. And during that time, it has been tough because I did not have the resources and I just kept trusting God. And then Mike came along and took millions of dollars from me, and I worked for him for free for 3 years. And my goal was simple. How do I serve the Lord? Now, I'm not perfect. I'm sometimes angry, sometimes passionate, 100% authentic. People trust me with a lot of information. I personally don't really find, I put it all together in my brain like a big old bolt. But I've tried to live my life in such a way that I support and take care of the people that are the most vulnerable among us. And Tina was one of those people. Mike was one of those people too. Mike was my friend until he wasn't. Until he decided he was. Not until I decided. I was still the friend. But betrayal is one of those things that just it's difficult. And even in betrayal, I showed up for Mike Lindell's 2 days of trial and took a beating for 2 days. And defended Mike. Said, hey, look, he's been taken advantage of by a lot of people. Never did get a call from Mike that says, hey, look, thank you for being there for me. Even when, people that he had given millions of dollars to and had grifted from him, even though those people took from him, he knew that I showed up because I truly still loved him, even though the guy had betrayed me. And people have said to me over many times, Joe, why can't you all just get along? And why fight with people? Like, why are you fighting with Bannon? I don't actually get pissed off at people and fight and say, hey, look, I got set up by Jenna Ellis and all these people for me. I do it because of how they and what they do to other people. It's super important for me that other people that maybe can't, that it'd be devastating to, don't go through the same thing. And it makes me an easy target. And because I can figure things out really quickly, again, people don't like me. It's kind of like they get that place. They're like, how does Joe figure out all this stuff? And oh, is he the same guy at home as he is here? The answer is yes. I met Dave Bear in 2020. It was 2 weeks after the election. I'm living in an RV in front of my home. And my house was under construction. I had a huge flood. It's a freak deal. Right before I got involved in everything to do with COVID, I was in the UK. I was in London, and we were getting ready to go watch a game, soccer match. And they had some huge weather issue, and the fastest time that they ever had coming across the Atlantic was this day. I mean, I think we got there in like 4.5 hours. This is crazy. And the weather was bad, so they kept canceling the games. So I found another game. We went there, and I came home. And I was preparing to sell my company and move on for another part of my life. I thought, it's time to be done. And then 2020 happened. And it questioned every norm that I've had. It questioned every norm. It changed every one of you. You found out things about yourself and about people around you. It divided us in ways that I don't think we've ever been able to appreciate. And yeah, in large part, 2016 did that when President Trump was elected the first time, which is why I say there's a large part of me believes that they did it on purpose. They wanted this division, and they needed the polarization, and they needed to be able to pull on both sides emotionally, and then create enough lies that people didn't know what the truth was, which creates another conflict within themselves that they have to pick a side. Is President Trump what they said he is? Is he who they say he is? And ignore all the facts and the things you see in front of you. Should we be talking about cutting off kids' penises and grooming children and books and everything else? And how do we become so polarized on things that are just ridiculous? Anyway, fast forward to 2020 or into 2020, started FEC United. I felt like I was just being drawn to this. Same time, I'm the Ernst & Young Entrepreneur of the Year nominee and then a finalist. And they told me, you're not going to win if you keep getting involved in politics. It's a bad look for us. Just shut up. And I just couldn't. I got really sick with COVID around the second week of November, sorry. Coincidentally enough, around the same time that I met that Chuck Faddis guy. And I got really, really sick. My pulse ox was under 70. And here's the guy that is a dentist. Super good man. And his wife sends me a Facebook message, and I'm in serious trouble. And the death threats have already started. Apollo's sitting in a little Ford pickup truck sitting out in front of my house. He's protecting it. There's another guy that's there that's security for my family. I can't get out of bed at all. Like, there's no getting out of bed. The house is completely in shambles. It's literally vanilla box. There's nothing. The drywall was barely in the house. I mean, literally everything was taken out. And Kim asked the question. She's like, "Hey, do you need anything?" And I was like, "I can't get over this COVID." I mean, I'm talking not get out of bed. And I just checked messages. I couldn't go to the hospital because I thought they were going to kill me. So she goes, "Well, my husband's a doctor. He's an oral surgeon. I'm going to have him call you. We'll just get this set up." I couldn't stop coughing. I'm going downhill. And Dave shows up, gives me an IV, gives me steroids, ivermectin, hydroxychloroquine, put his medical license on the line for thousands of people in Colorado, thousands. And he hangs an IV bag because I couldn't, there's no part of me that was even functioning. Slide downhill would be an understatement. If I went to the hospital, I would have been the first candidate that they put on a ventilator. and gave me steroids, did all this stuff for me. And the next day I felt so much better. But he hung the IV bag from a piece of drywall up in the rafters before they got it all finished up. A hole in the drywall. And he saved my life. And he had to come back 2 days later, give me another one, give me another IV bag, and saved. You know, because I went downhill after that. He gave me some more stuff, and then finally I started to recover. And then I would call him over and over and over again. I'm like, hey, this person's in trouble. Can you help them? Yes. Hey, this person's in trouble. Can you help them? Yes. It's like Ray Ann Weber, Dr. Weber. Same thing. She could not stop helping people. He did this for thousands of people. He took care of his own clients. And then from 7 o'clock at night until midnight, he would go out and help people. And he did it out of his own pocket. Never asked anybody for anything. He never took $1 from me. He's like, no, I got you. I don't need anything from you. So fast forward 3 years later, when they found out that he had a cancer over his heart, and he had to go into chemotherapy, and it basically took away his ability to use his hands. He had neuropathy in his hands. So basically it's painful in the hands and feet. It always feel like they're numb. So he no longer could be a surgeon. It's kind of bad karma, right? So you have the stuff that happens. He called me. He's like, hey, I want to buy a company. I was like, okay, I'll help you buy a company. And so we walked through this whole thing, and I'm telling him about the process, and he sends a bunch of stuff to me. He's like, I guess I got to do something different because I can't be a doctor anymore. And so I was like, listen, why don't you just come work for me? You can be the CEO of one of the companies, the tech companies. We'll start this thing up and just let you just have it. And so I did, and he did. And everyone that ever met him on the company side loved him. Loved him. He was that guy. And they had to crack his chest open to take that cancer out of his chest, right? So that things went swimmingly for about 1.5 years. And then in late 2024, early 2025, he came to me. He's like, listen, cancer's back. And I got this tumor over my heart again. They're going to have to crack my chest open and take it back out. I'm going to do chemo. Chemo the first time nearly killed him. And so they went in and said, okay, we're going to take it out. He had been taking some stuff that we would take, ivermectin, fenbendazole, and methylene blue. And so when they went to go do a biopsy of it and they pulled it out for the cancer, it was necrotic. It was dead. So they were like, okay, well, let's just take it out. He's like, man, thank goodness. They took it out. And one of the things we said is, well, why not put you on a chemotherapy and so to kill up any of the epithelials that could have, the small cells, the little small cells, not epithelial, but small cells that could have dropped into his cavity when they were taking the cancer out. And he had to, and I'm telling you a little bit too much about this because it just shows you just every day I would talk to him, and every day he'd like, just what Jared said. How are you doing? He'll send you stuff like, hey, how's it going? Just crack jokes with you. He's a man that has an immense amount of faith in God. He constantly is telling me, Joe, you gotta take a different path for this. Okay, I got rid of it. Sorry, guys. So they didn't put him on the chemo. And then the cancer came back inside of his lungs. And this time it was an aggressive cancer that basically just plays hide the weenie. And it grew really fast. So they put him on chemotherapy. And that after they cut it out, so he lost his left diaphragm for his lungs. I have a hard time talking about this deal, and I know that we talk about politics and everything else. I'm slowing it down because you have all faced some of this. We have Cherry, Mr. Cherry, who built that cross for me that I have in my office. And his wife was dying, and he drove 8 hours from Ohio to Missouri to deliver this work of art that he had created. It was this wooden cross. And then he drove 8 hours back, and his wife died a couple months later. So we forget about the relationships that we get in the middle of all this. And so cancer, after being on chemo for 4 weeks, of his body bloating by 60, grew, doubled in size. And the immunotherapy says he has a 1 in 100 chance of, like, if it's scale of 0 to 100, he has a 1 for immunotherapies working. That's like CAR T cells, any of that stuff. And this is an aggressive cancer that, frankly, they haven't been able to study it very much because, frankly, nobody lives long enough for them to do it. So he gets told he has very little time. And then I'm like, let's go to Mexico. And I'm doing all this research for him. And then I'm trying to, he still is, we're still paying him. And he has 3 young kids. He's a beautiful wife. He's 47 years old, almost 48. It just isn't supposed to happen this way. So I went to a friend of mine, and I was like, listen, we got to help Dave. And so my daughter's like, oh, let's put up a Give, Send, Go. And so we put up a Give, Send, Go, and then I didn't put it out because I was like, okay, that means I have to talk about this. I don't want to talk about this. And by the way, I stayed away from Dave for like 3 weeks. I texted him, but I wouldn't call him. And so I finally had to tell him that I don't want to talk to you, because same reason I don't want to talk to Tina, or not talk to her, but I don't want to see her, because I know what it does to me when I see someone else that's in that much pain. So we finally built this Give, Send, Go. And look, it's not even that I'm asking you to give to this. I'm asking you to give to this for, it has nothing to do with me. If it's $1, it doesn't matter to me. It's there's not many things that I've been this passionate about. And the surgery that the thing that he's going to do in Mexico, he'll be away from his family for 3 weeks, is about $50,000. And then the second one, if this does work, will be another $50,000. And he'll have to do this probably 2 or 3 times. And we're not really, we're under no, thing that says that this is going to work, and it's just going to give him more time. Maybe he gets a couple years out of it, maybe. But they gave him 30 to 60 days. So we're doing whatever we can to get him there. And so whatever you can do to help Dave, I would ask you to do. I don't have any, he's a guy that literally would put it all on the line for every one of us. And he has. So, if you can give, great. I think we put it up there. It's givesendgo.com/Dave Bear, DAVEBAER. So bear differently, like bears in the, I think it's French. I don't know. Anyway, I think about all the good times. You'll be able to see some of his family, his children and his wife in the pictures. His sister-in-law. He was a crazy guy, man. He's just one of those terrific people. And I'd say the same thing about people that are in this comments too, like Gammy Sparkles, amazing woman, has done amazing things, continues to do amazing things, but he's quite the fantastic human being. So if you can give, it's great. Givesendgo.com/Dave Bear, DAVEBAER. Okay. Now that I did that. Yes, in the comments. Yeah, I slowed it down because frankly, it's tough for me to talk about it without getting upset. So yeah, good dude. Okay. Last thing I want to talk to you about before I get off this podcast. Do you guys have the stuff that I sent over for Emerald? I'm not going to do that today. I'm going to do it tomorrow. But here's what I do want to do. Whoops. Dearborn, Michigan mayor. Now, 55%. You saw Jake Lang went to Dearborn and stood up and said, with all due respect, get out. And, you know, that there's plenty of illegals, by the way, in Dearborn, Michigan that shouldn't be there. I don't see there's a high presence for ICE there, but I just want to put this out there. So the mayor, Abdullah Hamoud, announced the city is paying mothers for every baby they have. Let's go ahead and play it.
If you had a baby as of November 1 or are currently pregnant, you are eligible for up to $4,500. I would just have 3 kids.
Dearborn RX Kids is finally here. We worked for this program for over 2 years, and if you're pregnant now, had a baby after November 1st, you're eligible.
Dearborn produces more babies per capita than any other city in Michigan, roughly 1,700 babies, which is why it's important that this program is live and well right here in the city of Dearborn.
So the only problem is that it's going to only give money to Muslim children. And if that's not enough, in Minnesota, this is a sheriff. This is a sheriff that's speaking in Somali inside of our borders. Let's go ahead and play it. As Somali, we work for you day and night. We stand for you and serve you. As you know, we came to this country as refugees. There were no Somalian police officers, so now we have been hired. It means we are working for our own people, Somalians. We understand the culture, we understand the language, we understand the way of life. That's why we are different from foreigners or white officers. We help bridge the gap. So thank you again. Know this, every Somalian police officer, whether you're in the homeland or abroad, works for you, Somalians. And when you're asleep at night, we were arresting, we are the ones protecting you. Somali first. Americans are being made as slaves. White people are being villainized. And a new script, that it said that history is written by the victors, and it appears that the victors are people that just want to separate themselves from us and make us demons. And here's AOC caught on a hype mic walking through the halls of Congress. And this is why I said, is violence the answer? Let's go and play it.
They're learning is that Democrats are weak, and that next time we just need to hurt working people and working Americans more to get them to fold.
We need to hurt. Next time we just have to hurt Americans more to make them fold. You're their slave. And if you didn't catch all that, you are their slave. You are their slave. You're their slave. So congratulations, slave. And here's something happening in California. I actually think that Home Depot should just kick them out. Tell them to get out of they have an ability to do this. Here's liberals in California are lining up at Home Depot to buy a single 17-cent scraper, return it, then repeat the process in an effort to slow sales and protest the store's cooperation with ICE operations. Play it.
Dracula Roach's drummer.
That's what actually was out of position.
Can everybody's attention, please? If you're purchasing something,
I have been volunteering with.
We can come to this side. Come to this side for the customers to walk through. Not the same.
But they still have like a good amount of weight.
What are you buying? Nice scraper. Nice. What are you guys buying?
We are buying ice scrapers.
Right.
Thank you.
Yeah, these people are just flat evil. Make Americans victims. And here's a TikToker freaks out because a law enforcement officer called a female she. Ugh. How dare you?
Hey TikTok, can you guys help me spam call the Mon County Probation Office in Monongalia County, West Virginia for being transphobic as fuck? I usually don't make videos like this, but I have no other avenue to address this situation, and I'm so fucking pissed off about it. Like, I have to do something, so here we go. I took one of my clients today to the probation office, and he is a trans mask individual, and he went back to do his drug test. And when he was back there, the front desk lady came out and said, she'll be right out. And I politely said, you know, he goes by he, him pronouns. And she looks at me and she says, she has a vagina, so she's a girl. And I was just like stunned. Like, I cannot believe that people are still saying this shit, like, on the job. And then they wonder why queer people and trans people are not showing up for probation, not showing up for day report, not showing up for drug court, because they're misgendered and met with violent transphobia every step of the way. Long story short, my incredibly vulnerable black trans mask client was put in jail today, and the woman who said this about / to him wouldn't even tell me her name. Would not even tell me her name. And the other people that were there at the office backed her up.
Okay, so let me get this straight. Just for all the normal people that don't want to cater to the ridiculous, I just want to put this out there for you so you can understand what we're talking about here. This, whatever you want to call it, freak that was just on here once was there, and the woman who was in law enforcement was this person, by the way, who was obviously a woman, was there because she committed a crime. So she committed a crime and she went in to go get her probation and basically her drug test, failed the drug test, was put back in jail. And now this person wants you to call up and get pissed off at this woman for doing her job, for calling a woman. But this person says that it's violent. It's violence to call them what they are. And that if you're not committing violence, you have to tell them that you have to affirm to them that they are a man, even though they don't have a penis and they're have the wrong chromosomes. I just want you to understand just how confused I am right now that we're even having this conversation, and how that is even something that we have to debate, because that's ridiculous. That's the same concept as having men and women sports. It's the same concept of, I don't even know what to say. Like, I have no idea what to say, because it literally is absurd. But she's right. She's right. I can't believe this is still happening in this time, in this day and age, when we have all of this science that can really just tell you very clearly that you're deranged and that you have mental illness. And it's not violent to tell you that you're a woman if you're a woman. If you have a vagina, you're a woman. I'm sorry, that's the way it is. And if you have a vagina and you have a penis, then you're special, I guess. I don't know. Never seen one of those yet. So there are exceptions to the rule, but that's not what this person is, right? And if you cut off your penis, you're not a woman. You're a eunuch. There's a name for it. Okay. I don't have anything more to tell you other than the fact that it's time to get Tina Peters out of jail. And frankly, I actually think that these people think that we're weak. They think you're weak. And every time I see a video of some radical just getting in somebody's face and saying there's nothing you can do about it, and they start screaming, or taking that bullhorn and putting it in somebody's ear, I think to myself, I'm going to take that bullhorn and I'm going to make them eat it. I want to make them eat it. And you talk about Daniel Penny in New York, who stood up and choked that guy out on the train because he was trying to be violent towards others. that was a chilling effect that has allowed for that radical person to stab that young lady to death from Ukraine. It was a calling card that allowed the 49 times, I think it was 49 times he was arrested, to light her on fire and say, yeah, burn, bitch. That's what he said. And that should be acceptable. And somewhere along the line, these judges shouldn't be held accountable, or the ones that let Comey and Letitia James out and said, okay, we're going to throw out this case because it was an illegitimate appointment. We're in a really bad time. And frankly, men, I'm going to talk to you right now really quickly. If you want there to be another world, like another world outside of where we're at right now, you better stand up and you better find your fraternity. And if you don't have one, you should make one. And when the police come and say, I'm going to arrest Johnny, and Johnny picks up the phone and calls 40 of you should show up and say, yeah, you're not taking Johnny. And when they show up with 40 people, then you show up with 200 people. The American people have been held hostage by really bad people. And both sides of the aisle are in on it. They think you're stupid. They say, oh, we're here to serve the American people. No, they're here to steal from the American people. And you are their slaves. So we got to do something about it. And frankly, I think violence is probably the only solution at this point, because right now they lie with such authority and ignore the stuff of stealing elections. And we already have enough information. There should already be military tribunals. There already should be that. Tina Peters should be out of prison right now. She should not have to serve another day there. And you know what it's going to take? I think it's going to take somebody doing something very drastic, or a group of people doing something drastic, to let them know that they don't have any peace. So maybe we do that. Maybe we have 50,000 people that show up to Tina Peters' benefit, that stand out and shake the walls around Polis and this corrupt piece of trash, Phil Weiser. Maybe that's the answer. So I don't know, but let's pray itself out. Let me look at some of the comments real quick. I have zero time for this nonsense. Me too. She or man is it? Susan K. Spencer. I don't have any idea what she is. He is. Whatever. I misgendered her. Oh, Susan Rice, good to see you. She looks like a libtard. She is. Yeah. All right. Father God, thank you for having us today. Thank you for the time that Jared was supposed to spend, that was able to spend with us. Thank you, Father, for the blessings you put in our lives. And we're about to head into Thanksgiving. I just keep thinking about Dave. I keep thinking about Tina. I keep thinking about all the people that are suffering and sacrificing right now. Father, I just ask you to give us the strength to stand up. And frankly, to find pastors that are willing to speak about truth and to stand up and do what is necessary in order to protect our future generations. This idea that we can hide and cower and use excuses to do those things while we watch our children and people in our community become victims of a system that is designed to punish and to do evil. I feel like we're there, Father. I feel like we're at a place right now where it's time to just rip the Band-Aid off and to be your servants, do the things that are necessary in order to hold these evil people accountable. And I don't even know if that's the answer, but I lay it before you. And I get tired of seeing all these really bad, evil people. And I know you called Charlie home, Father, but man, it feels just awful. There was no consequences and no accountability. And I'm not asking for vengeance, because that certainly is yours. But I look at it differently and say, how is it that we let this stand? We let these people still have a seat at the table. They can speak about the ridiculous and push these ridiculous, just moronic things onto our society as if it's normal, as if it's real, when we know it's not. Father, help us to be patient with each other and to set aside petty differences while recognizing that we have a battle to be won. And help us that we may stand up with absolute conviction against those people that would do harm to our brothers and sisters in our community, our country, and our world. I'll ask you to please bless Dave as he goes down to Mexico, and bless President Trump, Father, that he may get to a place where he can stand tall and do the right thing, rip the Band-Aid off, and help us get to a place where we can heal as a nation and as a world by eliminating or pushing out all of these evildoers that have literally captured our society. I ask these things, Father, in Jesus' name. Amen. All right, I'll see you guys later. I got the hat at the Trump Hotel. I don't know, like a year ago or so. I got a bunch of them. We should rip Tina out of prison. Yes, we should. I agree with that. All right. God bless you all. We'll see you guys soon. Have a great day, and I'll see you tomorrow.
Rise up untamed in the heart of the fight where the wild ones roam. Joe Oltmann's calling, bringing truth back home. From conservative daily to this untamed fire, we shatter the silence, lifting spirits higher. No chains can hold us, no lies can prevail. Authentic and fearless on this rugged trail. Patriots gather under stars and stripes. Untamed nation, igniting the night. Untamed nation, let the truth roll out in this land of the free. Standing proud from sea to shining sea, we won't back down. Catch the fire, wear the crown. Untamed nation, it's our battle song, motivating hearts where the brave belong. Yeah, untamed and wild, forever strong. Play it again all night long. Break the mold, chase the real. No more games, time to heal. Joe's voice leads the untamed crew.